Trey Yingst reporting from Israel on President Trump's latest ultimatum to European allies regarding the Strait of Hormuz, amid escalating military operations and rising costs at home. Let's break it down.
First, we go to Trey Yingst. He is live in Israel with the very latest. Trey, good morning.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Just last hour, President Trump issuing a new ultimatum to European countries about the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump taking to Truth Social to say, quote, all of those countries that can't get jet fuel because of the Strait of Hormuz, like the United Kingdom, which refused to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, I have a suggestion for you. Number one, buy from the U.S. We have plenty. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Go to the Strait and just take it. You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us. The president goes on to say Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done. Go get your own oil. Now, overnight, the United States hit an Iranian ammunition depot, reportedly with 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs. That, according to the Wall Street Journal. The president released some video on Truth Social overnight showing the massive amount of destruction outside the city of Isfahan. While the U.S. and Israel are ramping up pressure on the Islamic Republic, President Trump is still offering Iran a chance at a diplomatic solution. Iran has continued its ballistic missile attacks against Israel with 2 waves targeting central Israel last night and another 2 cluster munitions strikes this morning against Tel Aviv. With a focus on Iran, Israel has expanded ground operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. The military says dozens of militants were killed there in recent days. And today, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, announced that Israel is building a buffer zone in southern Lebanon up to the Litani River. The IDF announced that 4 additional Israeli soldiers were killed yesterday, bringing the total since the Lebanon operation began to 10 killed. On Monday, a funeral was held for one of those soldiers, just 19 years old. Now the region waiting to see what will be said at this briefing at the Pentagon, as once again, President Trump is offering the Iranian regime diplomacy. If they do not take his offer, officials say this war will escalate. Guys?
So, Trey,
A second post minutes later, Trump attacked France for denying passage through French airspace for U.S. planes carrying ammunition to Israel, calling France very unhelpful.
French President Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, I have spoken to him. He's been on a scale of 0 to 10. I'd say he's been an 8. Not perfect, but it's France.
Are you
We don't expect perfect.
Are you confident that France will help with the reopening of Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think he's going to help. I mean, I'll let you know. I spoke to him yesterday. I don't do a hard sell on them.
This is not just rhetoric. It signals a potential strategic abandonment. This was the 3rd time in recent days that Trump signaled publicly he could end the war in Iran without reopening the Strait of Hormuz, leaving other countries to clean up a hugely consequential economic quagmire involving roughly 1/5 of the world's oil supply. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump told aides he may indeed end the war without fully reopening the waterway. What the segment glossed over is the contradiction within the administration itself. When asked if securing the Strait of Hormuz is an essential objective, Defense Secretary Hegseth referred reporters to Trump's statement and reiterated that the strait is not just a United States of America problem. Yet White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters that ensuring safe passage for oil tankers is not one of the administration's core objectives. This is a remarkable admission. The strait's closure is arguably the single most consequential economic fallout of this war, and the administration is now framing it as someone else's problem, but Trump's framing suggests European cowardice. The reality is more nuanced. Spain publicly denied U.S. military planes' use of its airspace for all operations connected to the Iran war, while Italy recently denied specific requests for American bombers to touch down at a joint base on Sicily. Germany and Greece ruled out military involvement, with Germany's spokesperson saying, "As long as this war continues, there will be no participation, not even in any effort to keep the Strait of Hormuz open by military means." CNBC. However, this refusal has context the segment omitted. Edward Fishman, a director at the Council on Foreign Relations, noted that the Trump administration did not consult allies in Europe or Asia before launching military action against Iran. Allies much more dependent on Gulf oil imports than the U.S. is. Many allies opposed the war to begin with, and were never asked for input before it started. That said, diplomatic movement is occurring behind the scenes. During the G7 meeting in France, Secretary of State Rubio stressed the U.S. doesn't need G7 countries to help reopen the strait, but wants its allies to join a maritime task force to police the strait after the war is over. A source told Axios that all G7 nations agreed. The segment referenced missile strikes on central Israel and cluster munitions hitting Tel Aviv. This is verified by multiple sources. Human Rights Watch confirmed on March 30th that the Iranian government has repeatedly used inherently indiscriminate cluster munitions delivered by ballistic missiles in attacks on Israel since February 28th, stating that at least 4 civilians have been killed in strikes that violate the laws of war and may amount to war crimes. By the 10th day of the war, Iran had fired a total of 300 missiles at Israel, of which nearly half carried cluster submunitions that can spread dozens of explosive warheads over a radius of 10 kilometers. Over the past 24 hours alone, 9 attack waves were identified, most directed towards southern Israel, alongside attacks targeting the Tel Aviv area in the north. The segment mentioned 4 soldiers killed, bringing a total to 10 in Lebanon. CNN's latest reporting confirms that 10 Israeli soldiers have been killed in southern Lebanon. According to the Israeli military, in Lebanon overall, at least 1,268 people have been killed in Israeli strikes since March 2nd, including at least 125 children. The transcript's opening line references impacts on Americans and small businesses, but then pivots immediately to military reporting. Here is the story that deserved the headline. U.S. gas prices hit a nationwide average of $4.018 per gallon, the highest level since August 2022. Representing a more than 30% increase since the war began. Diesel prices crossed the $5 per gallon mark on March 17th and are now more than 40% higher than before the conflict, with broad implications for the U.S. economy since diesel fuels the trucks and freight trains that transport goods to market. Vice President J.D. Vance told consumers they face a rough road ahead on gas prices in the coming weeks, but promised the spike is temporary. However, strategists from Macquarie Group warned that if the war extends to the